everybody. My name is Amy Kramer. I'm Market and Product Innovation Leader for Merit's Global Events. And today with me I have Mr. Greg Bogue, who is our Chief Experience Architect. And we're here to talk to you a little bit about the work that we've been doing around Planwell, Meetwell, and how it's impacting the future of meetings.
Yeah, Amy, thanks. Glad to be here. I think what we've discovered in this whole process over the last 10 months is that safety and security is really kind of a core idea that we need to be rallying around and building around. And when we went down this path several months ago, we really landed on this idea of safety and security and really made that kind of our organizing principle for how we were going to look at designing events in the future. We felt like that would really be the core concept that we'd want to bring forward. So as we moved forward, we began looking at some of our existing design models, our 8 phases, and really began to realize that, man, these 8 phases, they really work regardless of the circumstances. It's the lens that you look through, right? And we've done some work around that, haven't we? Around this idea of changing the lens a little bit around the phases, and we kind of discovered some cool stuff.
Agree. And what we are asked all the time with clients as they're starting to plan and prepare for the road back to face-to-face events is really taking a deep dive into each of those phases and understanding what's fundamentally different and providing them with recommendations and thought starters, as well as some of our examples as we've been working with clients to return to face-to-face events and help them as they're planning and executing. So really excited today to talk a little bit about each of those phases, but we also want to let you know that there is going to be subsequent videos that come after this that will take a deep dive into each of those phases, and you'll be able to learn more about how that can work for your events.
Perfect. And just a real quick snapshot, our approach of this idea was really to design the journey, not just the destination. So the 8 phases really roll out across the entire journey a guest may take. And I'll just go over them really quickly, and then maybe you could add a little bit of color around each one of those. So we start with the announcing phase, and we move pretty quickly into the attracting phase, getting people kind of coming to the event. We move into anticipating, and then arriving, right? Traveling to the destination. Entering, engaging, exiting, and extending. And that makes up our 8 phases across that entire journey.
And it's really fun to have this conversation because some of our folks that are watching the videos may have not been introduced to the 8 phases. So I love that we can not only bring a new design action and expertise to our viewers, but also share a little bit about how, through the changes we've all had to endure, how this can help them in the future of their planning. So as you said, let's talk about those lenses because it's really interesting what we've uncovered. When you think about announcing, typically it's all about gathering their attention, right? I mean, that's what we're doing with all of the marketing and communications. And now what we've seen is really this shift from just trying to gather their attention, but now easing the perception. Yes. There's a lot of fear out there on what to expect, and should I go to this event? Should I be there face-to-face? So that's really, really interesting.
Absolutely.
Dovetailing then into attracting, we always talked about how attracting was wooing the audience. And I love that terminology, but right now we also need to make sure that we're focused on purpose. Purpose is so important now as we're returning back to face-to-face events or making decisions from the pandemic. It's all about making sure that we are communicating the purpose, and we'll talk more about that. Our third phase is really around the anticipation phase, and that's always been around expectations.
You bet.
Can you share a little bit around the expectations, like setting expectations and what we really mean when we're thinking about anticipating?
Sure, absolutely. So I think the core idea here is that people are looking for safety and security, and while they want actual safety and security, they also want the sense of perceived safety and security. And in the anticipating phase, we can really begin to set up those expectations. What will you experience in advance of actually experiencing them? So when you get there, you're prepared. You're really prepared for that transition into a face-to-face experience.
Absolutely. And right alongside of that is arriving. And that's going to look a lot different now that we're seeing the return to events. People are always anxious during this phase anyway. Did I pack all of my right things? Do I have all of my equipment and material? Did I put in all of those things that I need for my hotel room? But now there's that added level of, I'm not going to be able to eat on the plane, so I need to make sure I have snacks. I might not have a mask. What do I do if I forget something? What if I run out of sanitizer? So all of those little things. And we are seeing the value of creating journey maps for our clients during this phase, and having our clients really put themselves into their attendee shoes. So we have thought through all of those little things and making their trip as comfortable as possible.
Absolutely. And then, we just step right into the event, the engaging portion of the event, the actual I'm here now, and wow, what is that going to be like? How can we really guide people to understand what those experiences will be, and eliminate as much of that concern prior to the event occurring?
Absolutely. I am so excited for our clients to start to see some of the new recommendations and new design that our event management team and our on-site teams have put into place. We are having new solutions that are going to help people feel more comfortable. We have thought through all aspects of the event planning and execution of events, and really being able to get a bird's eye view into some of our playbook and some of those applications that we've developed is really going to be great. It's going to fit perfectly into this new lens. So exiting is just as important as arriving. We knew that it was our opportunity to have that send-off, but now it's also important to restock. We want to make sure that when people leave, they feel just as safe as when they entered. So that's an important phase that we've really developed. And then the extending portion is really changed. What has been phenomenal for me throughout this entire experience is that we have had events happen, and when you walk away, you may not come back together with that group until the next event occurs. With the change in the pivots to digital, we are now looking at greater ways to extend connections, to extend socialization, and to extend the content and consumption of all of the important purpose that happened on site, and really making people feel not only was it worth the risk or perceived risk that I took attending this event, but now I've got an opportunity to make even more connections and continue to experience that event even after.
Yeah. So there they are. There's the 8 phases, and we just skimmed along the top. What's up next, Amy?
Next, we are taking a deep dive into each of these phases. We talked a little bit about in our previous videos this concept of Planwell, Meetwell, and all of the work that our teams have put forth to help our clients, our partners, and really the industry overall feel comfortable at getting back to face-to-face events. But regardless of what your event format is, we want to make sure that you have some tools. So we're going to be now starting to share that more with all of you and with really the world. So please be on the lookout for our next videos that are coming that are going to actually take deep dives into each of those 8 phases. And as always, we're here to help you, and we're excited to be on this journey with you.
See ya.